behalf of Nancy, Jean, John, Max, Ross, Peter, Cece, we would all like to invite you to come over to the hall outside to the left after the service for food and refreshments and some Gracie videos. The last few years of her life, Mom had some health issues. Yet that wasn't what defined her. It was almost the opposite. It was that somewhat stubborn, feisty spirit of hers that helped her recover many times over and continue on. Mom loved her family very much and loved her friends very much. And at 91, after visiting, talking, calling many of her family and friends, and after watching the Niners win one more game, 51-13 over the Panthers, Mom was ready to rest. It was Mom's strength and fortitude that I'll always remember. And in some respects, it was part of her generation. They set goals, got things done, worked very hard, taught by example, sometimes more than with words. So let's recap some Nora fun facts. Did you know Mom was a coal miner's daughter? The Depression and the Dust Bowl had ended farming, and coal mining was the only main work left in southern Colorado. Did you know? Nora was the youngest of 9 siblings, not 8. There was another, no, I didn't. there was another girl named, that came after law, named Paulina, and she died young. And that's how Mom got her middle name, Pauline. Did you know that when Nora graduated high school in the fall of 1945, her class had the distinction of being the first peacetime graduating class in 6 years. And for the young ones, we were World War II at the time. Did you know? Nora was the first one in her family to graduate from college with a Bachelor of Science degree. She later completed her master's degree in education. She accomplished this going back to school after my father died when I was 6 months old and Jean was 2, as a single mother. Did you know? Nora traveled to over 30 countries in her life, most of which before she retired. Did you know she spoke Spanish before she spoke English? Mom's family, the Obedas and the Gallegos families, had been traced back to 1750 in southern Colorado and northern New Mexico territories. This was well before there was a USA, or later Colorado becoming a state in 1876. Mom came from humble beginnings and a strong family. She had a good sense of humor, and she did enjoy life. Family and friends were always very important to her. Growing up, most Sundays were spent visiting with family and friends. Wouldn't it be great if everybody did that? Mom had good faith, yet it was a quiet, personal faith. All of this helped her get through the loss of 2 husbands and 1 grandson, and she never lost her faith. Mom, thank you for giving us life with a dream in your heart. Thank you for teaching us how to live and passing the faith on to us. Thank you for loving us in good times and through the harder ones, and all the way to the end. Did you know Mom got where she got the name Nora? It's an Irish name. Father spotted. Her older sister read, liked the name, and our grandma let her choose it. So, as an honorary Irish woman, there was no Irish in Mom, I'll close with a Celtic prayer. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
Jean and I visited Nora at the Meadows on September 9th. I remember the date well because that's our anniversary, which fact I mentioned to Nora, and we've been married for 35 years. Nora seemed a little bit startled and said, 35 years? I said, yes, Daddy, and she seemed a little bit surprised. She said, yes, she was. I inquired as to why she was surprised, and the answer was, I only gave it 5 years. Why was that, I asked. She responded, I didn't like you. Why was that, I inquired. She responded, because you were too bossy. And with that, I asked if anything had changed over the ensuing 35 years, to which she replied, we both mellowed. I said, well, maybe yes, but there are probably a lot of people who might disagree on both counts. This might have been one of the few times Nora misjudged the situation, notwithstanding that she took pride in, as she put it, being not always right, but seldom wrong. As Jean and Dave will tell you, in fact, as anyone who knew her well would tell you, Nora, even at 4 feet 10 inches tall, was formidable. She was fiercely loyal to her family, every niece, nephew, and cousin, and I've learned over the years how many nieces, nephews, and cousins comprise Nora's tribe, but she'd also be the first to acknowledge that she had to dirt on everybody. Nora was proud of her Hispanic roots that David has now traced back to 16th century Spain. During our road trip coming to California across the country from New Jersey, Jean and I made a special trip, a pilgrimage, if you will, to Aguilar, Colorado, where Nora and her family were from. As we discovered, it was a stark, rugged place with a 90-day growing season and the jagged, snow-capped Spanish peaks as backdrop. Coming from Aguilar during the Dust Bowl and the Depression, the Abetes had no time for self-pity. They needed to survive. In her life, Nora knew great joy as well as great sorrow. In fact, through it all, she did more than merely survive. By dint of her determination, her intellect, and her optimism, she built a family and a career. Nora raised 2 great children and taught and influenced thousands more as a teacher and principal. She traveled widely. She had devoted, lifelong friends. She had standards in which she believed and by which she lived. She was respected. She experienced life, and she grew wise. In that vein, I should tell you that as Jean, Dave, Nancy, and I were moving her things from her apartment in the Meadows, we discovered some documents that Nora had written that she titled Vicissitudes of Life, but otherwise unfortunate changes of circumstance. Ever the teacher in these papers, she imparts wisdom that would be well to remember as we consider both the travails and the triumphs of her life. These are her exact words that I think are both insightful and poetic. She wrote, Thornton Wilder, in his novel The Eighth Day, explains that life is an intricately woven work of art, drawing together threads of different lengths and colors to make up an inspiring picture. The underside of the tapestry is a mixture of long, short, knotted threads going in different directions. God has a pattern for our lives, and our lives fit the different kinds of threads because the pattern requires it. From God's vantage point, every twist and knot has its place in the design that makes up the work of art. In early October, it became clear that Nora was near the end of her life, and equally clear that she was ready. Not, however, without first rallying sufficiently to say goodbye with a great spirit to multitudinous friends and family, provide a last list of instructions, and squeeze in, as David mentioned, the final 49ers game in a season that had perhaps made her think she'd already died and gone to heaven. She passed peacefully in her sleep, having been surrounded by those she loved and who loved her, at 91 years, a good death. Finally, among Nora's papers, we also found a few verses that were very carefully obviously meant something to her, and I think they speak clearly and simply to how she wants us to remember her in our hearts. It's called Afterglow, and it goes like this. I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of happy memories that I leave when life is done. Nora, we will miss you.
Our dear friend, Melby, who was a dear friend, we were schoolmates together, asked me to let the family know that she would have liked to have been here today, but due to health, she is here in spirit. So, to the family, Melby is part of my talking with me in my voice. A friend. What is a friend? We all have friends, but what is a true friend? A true friend is one who's always there in good times and in hard times. One who listens and tries to guide you in the right way. One who never judges you and loves you unconditionally. This was Nora, my friend and my kumare. I first met Nora at Everett Junior High School almost 80 years ago. She was a beautiful girl with a great personality and who was very well liked by everyone. She was a very popular girl. The boys especially liked her. And she always had good friends and many, many boys around her. Frankly, I was a little jealous because nobody cared about me. And I was a sweater girl at that time, too. I had a nice little figure, but Nora was beautiful. Nobody could compare to her. She had such a beautiful personality, and anybody who met her loved her. She met Peter Haymond and married him on the same day that I got married. So I couldn't go to her wedding, and she couldn't come to mine. And that was on June 27th, 1948, that we both married. She had two beautiful babies, David and Jeannie. And I gotta find my space here, you'll have to excuse me. He died very young, leaving Nora to raise her children on her own. And as she got older, she knew that she had to find some type of work that would enable her to send the children to college and to make her own livelihood. So she went to school, and you heard this before, I'm sure, in the other speeches. She went to school, became a teacher, going on to become a principal. And she worked in schools that did not have a lot of money. And I can remember she would tell me stories about the children and how she helped to bring them to a good education. She loved children, that was her life, but her children were her life. She was great in her job. She taught with love and understanding, and she was never afraid of anything or anyone. I have to say this about Nora. If Nora had something to say to you, she told you, and she didn't care. That's the way she was. She could be pretty feisty at times. You couldn't help but love her, even when she kind of scolded you a little bit. We didn't see each other for years, and then finally one day we got together. Our good friend Melby and myself decided that we were going to be matchmakers. So we thought about Don Howard, the bachelor from school. And so I said, I'll have a dinner. We'll invite Don and Nora. We asked Don to pick Nora up. He picked her up, brought her to the house, and then the rest was history. They were a lovely couple, and I'm starting to shake like I never shake before. So if I start shaking, don't pay attention. They went together for almost 20 years before they got married. She couldn't make up her mind. She wanted to marry him. She didn't want to marry him. Her first love was her children. Her children came first. So she never wanted to marry until those children were raised, went to school, and she was happy in their graduating and their good jobs. But her love was her children and her grandchildren. And I'm going off of my paper now. I'm just talking from the heart. So I may forget some things. I hope not, because I wanted you to know how much our love for each other was as couples. When they got married, my husband and I stood up for them. My husband was best man, and I was the maid of honor. She made a beautiful bride. He was happy with her. He was so happy that he was finally marrying her. So, but we used to go together a lot. We went to dinner dances. We went traveling, and we'd have dinner at each other's home. And you always got a healthy meal at Nora's. Nora always cooked very healthy, and when they came to my house, we had all the greasy and rich foods, okay? So that's why Nora was small and petite, and I different size. But anyway, his death was a great loss to Nora, and to all of us. We loved John with all our passion. We missed him a lot, but Nora carried on. She was a strong-minded person. Her life was her children and her 5 grandchildren, Max, Ross, Grace, Peter, and David, whom she loved very much, and she wanted the best in life for all of them, and they came first in her life. The loss of her grandson, Davy, was hard on her. She was a good mother and a great grandmother. I went to see Nora about a week before she passed away. She was so beautiful. She looked like an angel. Her face was beautiful white with rosy cheeks. Her hair was sparkling, shiny silver. And her smile, just her, you couldn't, I'm going to cry. She looked like a beautiful angel. And she died in her sleep knowing the love that surrounded her from her family and from her friends and her relatives. I'm sure that all of you have a very good remembrance of a very special person who shared our life with us. And aren't we lucky to have had her as our relative or as our friend? And her children, whom she praised and loved, were lucky to have such a loving mother and grandmother. I was sad to see her go, for she's touched my heart in such a way that I know my life will never be the same. She's left an imprint in all the beauty life has to offer. I'm reminded of the beautiful soul of a beautiful lady and friend in the following. Today, a little butterfly flew by me. I thought to myself, where have you been, little butterfly? You came into this world as a cocoon all by yourself and blossomed into this beautiful butterfly and now fly off to see the world. What you don't realize, little butterfly, as you flitter through your days, is how you touch those around you in your own gentle way. You don't even realize the wonder and awe you create around you. She fluttered her wings toward me as she was waving goodbye. As she headed towards the horizon, she looked very happy and content as she went on her way, as to say to me, "Don't worry, I'll be okay." I was so sad to see her go, for she had touched my heart in such a way that I knew my life would never be the same. She had left an imprint of all the beauty life has to offer. I knew each time I looked at another butterfly or horizon, I would remember our moment in time when it was only her and I. I knew I would be a better person, all because this little butterfly flew by me one bright sunny day. Thank you, Nora. I will always keep you in my heart. And now I have this little song that I want to sing. You have to excuse me, I'm just shaking terrible. I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. In that small cafe, the park across the way, the children's carousel, the chestnut tree, the wishing well. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the day is through, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. And that, my darling Nora, was for you. God rest your soul, and God bless everyone here today that came to honor her.
My name is Herman Gallegos. I'm Nora's first cousin. I know it's been a long day, so if anyone has to leave, I won't take it that I'm a bad speaker, just that I'm tired of it. But I'd like to make the connection between the relationship between the Abeyta, Heyman, Gallegos families. Nora's mom and my Aunt Julia was the oldest sister of my father, Elmer. What we shared in common was the way in which our families handled diversity, adversity, and how that provided a role model about how we were certain not to let adversity define and control our lives. As has been mentioned, the families came from an area of very deep poverty, the coal mines of Colorado. Uncle Joe worked in mines, my dad went in the mines when he was 15 years old. I was born in a small adobe house my father built. My brother was building something they called a tin house. It was more like a shack, but anyway. My sister Dorothy was born in a log cabin in Tereros, New Mexico. So the poverty forced the families to give up the life they were trying to make in southern Colorado, New Mexico. And we came to San Francisco to join other family members to try to make a better life for our families. But in those days, we didn't have iPods, we didn't have iPhones, we didn't have television. I think we all had radios. I don't think we had telephones in our family. So as a result of that, our families would visit regularly. Grandma Brigida Gallegos, which was the matriarch, the grandmother for the Abeytas and Gallegos, and for the Gallegoses. We used to visit her and then all of the family members. So I grew up knowing my cousins. I was very fond of my cousins. I mean, it was very exciting to visit with cousin Florence and Jean and Bobby and Lee and all of the family members. I mean, this was something that really doesn't happen as much anymore, except for funerals. When you go to a funeral and they say, well, we have to stop getting together at funerals only, we have to do it beyond that. We really don't do that, which is too bad, despite the fact that we have a lot of telecommunications vehicles available for us to stay in touch. So my talk really reflects the fact that Nora's family, my family, and us personally were links in a long chain of solidarity where we shared experiences, we shared our loves, our frustrations, our difficulties, and all of the things that families could lean on for survival. And so, as I look back on my personal relationship with Cousin Nora, I found her to be very helpful because we not only went to Everett Mission High School, but she was very helpful to my brother Elmer Jr., who was also a school administrator. And sometimes when going was rough, Nora would speak up and help Elmer. And there were times when I was active, very active in San Francisco, I would be criticized. People who frankly weren't being very nice, but then I would talk to Nora and she said, look, you're being attacked because you're doing something. If you were doing nothing, nothing would happen. So because she understood as a principal at Moscone Elementary and her activism, she knew what it is that when you're trying to make change, when you're trying to speak truth to power, that you're going to get attacked. There will be people who criticize you or turn their back on you, particularly when people don't know what the heck you're doing. I've had people criticize me without knowing what the heck I was doing. So I mention this because one of the values of belonging to family is that we can provide a moral support to each other. So when we don't sustain those linkages together, we're losing that support system, which I grew up with. We also need families because that's where our values are. I mean, I used to admire my dad coming home from work tired as a structural steel worker. But I also admired the fact that my uncles also worked very hard. So I learned something about decency and hard work. And so they provided role models for us. And we need that. We need decency. We need honesty. We need people who are willing to stand by each other in these difficult times. So Nora was always there as a friend and had a great sense of humor, as has been said. I remember one time she threw a party to celebrate, I forgot what birthday it is, because as we get older, we forget what birthday it is. But it was a Fisherman's Wharf, and she had a room full of friends and cousins and I don't know what, and I was just amazed. I was sitting next to her, I said, gosh, Nora, I said, how did you manage to pull this off? I mean, just contacting people? Oh, she said, it's simple. She says, you just offer them food and drink and they show up. So, through thick and thin, Nora, like her family, did not let adversity define her. And as the stories that you've heard show, she survived it with a great spirit, never picturing herself as a victim, feeling sorry for herself. She raised a beautiful family, again an inspiration to all of us. So in that spirit of gratitude that I experienced, I say thank you, Nora.
Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. Just can't remember who to send it to. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen the lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. Won't you look down upon me, Jesus? You gotta help me make a stand. You just got to see me through another day. My body's aching and my time is at hand, and I won't make it any other way. But I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen the lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. I've been walking my mind toward an easy time. My back turned toward the sun. Lord knows when the cold wind blows, it'll turn your head around. I've had hours of time on the telephone line to talk about things that come. Strange things in time machines, in pieces on the ground. And I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen a lonely time when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you, baby, one more time again. Thought I'd see you one more time again.